Welcome to the Oracle GoldenGate YouTube video series. Oracle GoldenGate is the industry's premier multi-cloud technology for building real-time data fabrics, data mesh, and data replication solutions. With class-leading, high-throughput, and extremely low-latency streaming data, Oracle GoldenGate is in a league of its own. Thousands of customers in over 180 countries globally trust GoldenGate with their most important data, and GoldenGate is consistently rated as a top leader for data integration and enterprise data fabrics. One key reason that GoldenGate is one of the most successful integration tools in history is the consistent innovation over more than 20 years. GoldenGate has notched many industry firsts for modern event-driven streaming data solutions. Oracle GoldenGate is first and foremost known for its data event capabilities, including long-time leadership for data high availability, transaction replication, and change data capture. More recently, since 2015, the most successful areas of GoldenGate have been in the areas of data pipelines and stream analytics. Modern technology solutions demand real-time data ingestion, streaming ETL for low latencies, and best-of-breed analytics on data in motion. GoldenGate delivers modern time series analysis in a no-code development package with enterprise-class data governance, including best-in-class data security, data verification, and a rich metadata catalog. Another reason that GoldenGate is so successful is that it is truly a tool for all enterprises, supporting a huge variety of common databases, applications, NoSQL data stores, clouds, and messaging systems in a powerful low-latency data fabric. GoldenGate's modern microservices architecture is the foundation of real-time data events for the event-driven business. With an easy-to-use browser-based user interface and available cloud services for just pennies per hour, there's nothing stopping you from realizing the future today. Try GoldenGate for free. Follow this link for more information. And now, onwards to the video you came for.
Hi everyone, this is Warner, and thanks for Jeff's introduction. And so now I'm going to show you a quick demo of how to set up GoldenGate from the on-premise to GoldenGate OCI Cloud. And so this is a slide to show you in the high level what we are going to do today. We have a on-premise data center on the left side. Right side is the OCI Cloud. Inside the on-premise data center, we have GoldenGate version 21 microservice architecture running, and it's capturing data from an Oracle 19c database running on-premise. And we are using the remote capture, and the extract will generate the trail file. The trail file will be read by distribution server, and distribution server is going to connect to the OCI Cloud GoldenGate service, which is behind the scene. There's Nginx reverse proxy server running, and then from Nginx, the connection will go to the receiver server. So the connection between the distribution server and Nginx is SSL encoded. When the receiver server receives the trail file, it's going to write locally, and then GoldenGate replica is going to pick up the trail file and push that out to the OCI Autonomous Datawarehouse. And on the right side, everything's flowing inside the Oracle Cloud, and the left side, everything is running on the on-premise. So I'm going to show you how we can set up this from end to end, including configure and set up the extract on-premise, set up the distribution paths from distribution server to the receiver server, and then set up the replica to push the data to the OCI Autonomous Datawarehouse. So this is the high-level overview of what we're going to do today. Now let's just jump in to the system. So I have two browsers open. For this Chrome browser, it's currently connecting to a GoldenGate OCI instance running in the cloud. And you can see this, we have nothing configured here. Extract replicas, it's all empty. And because this is the OCI GoldenGate service, so when you connect, you actually connect to the administration server, and you can check there's distribution server, performance server, and receiver server. Okay, so all clean. This is the target side. And on the source side, I'm putting the source side in the Safari window, which is my on-premise. So in my on-premise I have access to the service manager. You will see there's one deployment that we call the GGMA 213 DK Dell. So this will be the deployment we're going to use as a source on the source side. So we are going to configure the extract here inside the administration server and configure the distribution paths in the distribution server. And then we're going to come to target to configure the replicate here in the replicate OCI GoldenGate. So that's the environment. And before we can configure any extract, we of course have to configure the credential store to tell how extract is going to connect to database. So I'm not going to go through the detail because today's demo is really end-to-end, focused on the high level. But there's detail on how you should set up your database, how you set up your GoldenGate users. I'm going to skip that because just assuming on-premise database already fully set up, GoldenGate user is already created. So you just create the credential, leave the credential domain empty, which will be the Oracle GoldenGate. And the alias, we can call it GGS source. And the user ID is here because I already created cPom GGS. By the way, this is a pluggable database. So I have to put in how I connect. This is my on-premise server. So I just put in the on-premise server's name, which will be check here. R19 CDK Dell. Okay. So this basically is a connection string you use to connect to the source database. And this is the password. All right, so the database connection string is configured, and to make sure it's working, we have to test whether it can connect. It connects successfully, and then we need to add the schema data. I have a bunch of schema from user U01, U02, all the way to U010. So let's say we pick up like a U05, I'm sorry, U1 to U10, we pick up like U5 to do this. Because I am doing that in the PDB. So the PDB, I have to put in the PDB name in here. So the first part is the PDB name, the second part is schema name, and you first can check whether there's schema data, schema transaction, I'm sorry, the schema level tran data enabled or not. It should say nope, no data display. So now I can safely add that. And leave everything by default. So looks like it's done. And let's go check whether it's there. Okay, so you find out the two tables there, which is good. So the schema tran data is done. So the next step will be to configure the extract, right? So everything can be done in the web UI. So we want to configure the integrated extract, and we give the name. So this is the first two letters of the trail, and you just let the trail sitting in the by the default directory. You can change the size if you want, and the trail will also start from 0 and 0, which is from trail sequence number 0 in the beginning of the RBA 0. And here you can leave everything as is, and this is the part we choose which particular credential we're using. Remember, we just created GGS source. So you choose this. This will allow the session to log into the database, and then you can choose which PDB you want to capture. Okay, so because this credential actually log into the CDB, so you have to choose which PDB you want to capture that from. And the rest you can leave as is, or you can use the encryption, or you can specify the manage option, like you want to restart, auto restart, all these options. So we'll leave them as is and click next. It will give you the skeleton of the parameter file based on information you put in just now. So one thing I want to put in is I want to capture DDL. So I'll say DDL map included. And DDL options, report, and then I specify table, WPDB. You have to make sure you specify the PDB name, u5.star. Semicolon. That basically tells you, hey, I want to capture everything under U5. And the one enhancement we did in version 21 is it will actually do a syntax check. If you have any syntax, it will actually point that out. So, for example, if I put some arrow in here, when I say create, Jesus, what happened? So now the extract is created, and now you need to start it up. Let's start the extract. So what will happen is in the background, the extract will be registered to your database, and then it will start up running. So when this check mark is green, that means it successfully registered extract and extract is started. And to check the detail of extract, you just click on the detail, go to the report. It gives you all the report file, tells you the parameter it uses, and then the database is connected to. And then when you see the runtime messages, that means the extract is fully up and running. So by now, the trail HH has been created on the source side. So we have the extract successfully started on the source. And then the next step is we are going to configure the distribution path to send this trail HH to the target side. So to configure the distribution path, we need to go to the distribution service, right? And but to do that, there are several things we have to configure here. I have done part of the job, which I'm going to show you, because we are trying to use SSL. That means both the source and target need to have the correct certificate, right? And so we go to the service manager in the version 21. One of the advantage is it actually gives a web UI to allow you to manage all the certificates. And if you choose the deployment, you can see I already have the client certificates created. It's a self-signed certificate for the client to use to connect to the target. And also I have added a DigiCert global root certificate here because my target, if you look into here, this is my target browser. If you look for the certificate, it is actually using a wildcard certificate because by default, the OCI GoldenGate is using a wildcard certificate. And that certificate is certified by the DigiCert. So the final root certificate is DigiCert Global Root Certificate. So I need to add this certificate into the CA certificates as a trusted certificate on my client. So when my client connects to the target will present his wildcard certificate, and we will see it is actually have a root certificate certify that. If we trust the root certificate here, then we will trust the target side certificate. So that's the reason I put in here. And I have another video to go through the detail of how you pull the certificate from the Digital website, how you add that into the CA certificates here, which I'm not going to go through in detail in today's presentation. If you're interested, you can watch for the other video, have all the detail. And that, despite the certificate, the distribution path also need to log in to the target, right? And to log into the target, that means we have to create a user ID and a password for the source distribution path to log in, which in this case already created a user called a GGNet, which is an operator user. And I'm going to share this username and the password with the source. So the source, when they connect, it can get authenticated by target and create this distribution path. So this user ID and password management is very similar to the user ID and password management for the database login. So if we go to the administration server here and click on the configuration, you see we already put in the database user ID and password in here, right? So now we just need to put in the same thing, just create a different domain. Let's call it the GG network. This is a domain name, and the alias, we can call it WSSnet, which means I'm going to use this particular alias whenever I try to refer to the user ID and the password. So the user ID password will not be plain text in my distribution path configuration file. So this is the user ID which match this particular user ID I created, right? So GGNet. And then the password will be the password I assigned to this particular user. Okay, so now I have another alias called WSSnet, which has the user ID and the password information, which can log into the other GoldenGate instance. Now I'm ready to create the distribution path here. So if I do create, so the path name, let's call it and if I choose the source, the extract, it will automatically list out the trail file. So it will associate this trail with this particular distribution path as a source. So which means it tells to read from this source trail. And then the authentication, I'm using the user ID alias. And the target, I'm going to use the WSS as a protocol. And the target host, basically, I'll just copy paste this entire host name from here. And the port number is 443 because that's the port the OCI GGS engine server is listening to, and that's the only port we open to the outside world. And this is target trail file name. When they landed to the target, what do you want to call it, right? So I just give it 2 letters, WW. And this is the user ID alias part. How you find the alias. The alias is under GG network, like we just specified, and the alias is called WSSnet, right? So this way I do not have to put in the user ID and password in here. So everything's secured. And the same thing, we can adjust the trail file size, right? And then you can also tell the other, configuration, wallets, how to encrypt that. These are all the normal options. I'll just leave them as is. So right now, everything looks good. So to create a path. So the path is created. So now I can try to start it up. It's going to try to connect to the OCI GGS right now. So it's successfully connected, and see this is green. And then you come to the receiver server of the OCI side, you will see the path also show up here, right? So this is the path coming from the on-premise side. So everything's connected, and everything's, if I do any transaction on the source, it's going to flow over here. Now I have the WW trail created. I can go ahead on the target side to create the replicate. Okay, so the same thing, the web UI. I'm going to create a parallel replicate using non-integrated, which gives me better performance. Oh, by the way, before we do that, we have to register the database. The same thing like on the source side, we have to register the how to connect to the database on target side. So right now, I don't have the database registered here. And there's an easy way to do that. So if this is OCI GoldenGate, we actually help you to register the database in the OCI console. So there's a register database option in the GoldenGate menu. When you click on this, it will automatically pull out the database information to help you to register. For example, we can call it the test ADW. Okay. And the name, this alias name, because the ADW is my test database. And so here, make sure you choose select the database. And since it's an autonomous database, you click here, and then it's going to search all the autonomous database, and it will all the autonomous database in the same compartment will come up here. So I will choose this one, ADW test, and it automatically use the ggAdmin because autonomous database, it has a pre-created ggAdmin user. You only need to put in the password here. Okay, and then just click register. It will try to create the database register in here to register this database. So once this is done, it will actually automatically sync into this GoldenGate configuration. You will see it appear here. So let's give it, normally it takes like a couple minutes to do that. Okay, so now the database registration part is finished successfully. You'll see it shows the status active. So if you come into the admin server, go to the configuration, you'll see it's automatically synced over. Okay, so this is the new entry we created. And to make sure this particular database alias work, you can try to connect, see whether that works. Yep, it's successfully connected. And because I have done some testing before, I already have a checkpoint table created. I can reuse this checkpoint table to create my replicate, or otherwise you can create a new checkpoint table. So now this database registration is ready. We can go back to create the replicate. Okay, we want to use a non-integrated parallel replicate for better performance. And the process name, I call it rep80. And the same thing, you have to choose the credential domain. It is under Oracle GoldenGate, and the alias is that alias we just created. So once you pull that in, it's trying to log into database. And then the trail name is the trail name we created by the particular distribution path we just created, and leave everything the default. And the checkpoint table, you might want to choose this existing checkpoint table, And make sure you always specify checkpoint table for replica because it's very important. And then you can specify the other options, which I'm going to leave default for this testing. And then it's going to ask you to create the replicate parameter file. It gives you a skeleton here. So I'm going to add in a couple DDL statement as well. Okay. And also the map statement, because I'm mapping from a PDB database, I need to add in the PDB name in there. And basically, it's anything from the PDB coming here, I'll map that to the target. Okay, so that's, and also another thing I would suggest everybody to add is add in the batch SQL. This actually helps you when you have a lot of batch process, the batch processing operations you want to process. So now we have everything ready. We just click create. So the replicator will be created here. And now I can click on this and to start it up. Okay, it's up and running. So to check the replica status, go to the detail and go to the report file. So this is the replica report file. Okay, and look, it's already started the applier and the mapper. So by default, we start 2 mapper and 4 appliers. This is the feature of the parallel replica. So allow you to do the parallel execution. And then it will tell you it connect to the autonomous database, right? The database information and the runtime messages, and it's open this trail. So everything looks good. So far, the extract, the distribution path, the replicate has all been created and are ready to replicate some transaction. So now let's just do some transaction on this source, which this is my source database. So because I'm doing the U5, sorry. Okay, and I have 2 tables. Okay, and right now the tables are empty. So I'm going to put some data in there, run some script. So basically what the script does is it will dump in 200,000 records. Every 2,000 records I will have a commit, and those are the data we're going to put into the source table. And then we should be able to see that data flowing through the extract and replicate and coming into the target system. So let's first check the source system. Check on the extract. You see the statistics and see it's already capturing that right now. And if you look at the source side performance metrics server, the U5, it shows you all the process information of this particular extract, how much memory, how much the disk I/O is doing, and also the you look at the cache manager status and how much memory it's using for the cache to cache the transactions. And we can see these are all the location, how much cache it's locating. And the same thing, it will tell you about the database statistics. So by now, it's already captured everything. So the same thing, if you go to the distribution server and you check the detail, it will tell you how much it's capturing and where it's writing right now. So all the data will be sent. If you look at statistics, it has all the statistics here as well. So look on the replica side, look at the detail. The same thing, you do the statistics. It already finished all the transaction replicating 200,000 to the target. And the same thing, you can check the checkpoint information. It tells you where it's reading right now. Report file, you will find all this data we captured, and they resolve the map for the target tables. And also it will tell you if there's any DDL happen, what it is. It's going to do all the DDLs and do all the DMLs. So basically right now, so from a source to target, everything's synced up. And if you want to add some new tables, because we are using the wildcard in the replicat, we can go back to the extract. Let's see, I want to add some new table. So you can stop the extract. And then you can go to the detail, parameters. Let's say I want to capture everything. Okay, I can say capture. I have, remember, 10 schemas, right? Okay. And then go back to start it back up. And now if I go to the performance metric server to monitor this particular extract, right now, because it's already caught up, right? So it's quite idle right now. And if I do some transaction in the source database, let's say for a different schema where we are capturing, I give it a little bit more data this time so it can run a little bit longer. So this will be another schema U6, and you'll see suddenly everything starts jumping up because we saw the new data coming in. We started capturing the data on the extract side. And the same thing if you go to the replica side, also there's a performance metric server. If you will monitor the replicat, there are several replicat processes we probably want to apply. Go to the replicat applier. See how that goes. You will see the similar jump here as well. You see this is extract. It's processing the larger transaction coming in, and the replicat you will see starting using more system resource to push the data through. And because it has 4 appliers, there's other appliers as well. So if you go to this particular window, go to the overview. And you can try to look at other appliers' data as well. And they are catching up. So by now, the extract is pretty much done its job. Everything's coming down. The performance, the resource usage is coming to the idle again. And then replicate by far already caught up too as well. So it processes everything and back to the normal status. And if you want to check, you can actually check the particular replicate statistics. We go there, and you see all the 500,000 for the second set of table have been fully captured by the replicate. So this gives you the real-time system monitoring capability in case you need to troubleshoot any performance issues. So again, today's content is to show you how to get the data replication from the on-premise to the OCI GoldenGate setup, and both are using GoldenGate version 21. And again, my name is Warner. I am the product manager for Oracle GoldenGate, and hopefully this video is helpful to you. And thanks for your time, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.